Well, hmm. Okay. See, really? Why does it automatically start muted? Weird. Although that... Okay, sound test good. Video quality is not good, though. That is strange. Oh, that fixed it. I guess it's because it wasn't tabbed to it. It wasn't updating properly. Anyway, whatever. I need to post links for a little bit, so... dum dum dum. So yeah, the current plan for today's stream is coloring in the board because as you can see from when I was last working on the board, I ended up with an outline. Just, you know, more of a sketch of a board than an actual board. So this time, going to color things in. Alrighty then. Well, so let's switch over to paint. Okay. Oh, right. I need to switch in the... There we go. All right, so I'm going to have to add more to this later, but I'm going to start off by taking all of the non-board space and coloring it green. Yeah, as complicated as this board is, kind of need to differentiate between spaces you actually have, you know, like properties or something on, and things that aren't. Okay, I might overwrite some of this stuff later, because there are several things in this that are going to be a bit complicated, but yeah. For now, this will be good. Now for a bit of a theoretical thing. See, I actually have done more number crunching related to the base game of Monopoly as part of figuring out what I wanted to do with this. Oh, hey, someone actually commented. Worthless spam. But hey, comments are something. Anyway, did more number crunching, looking at Monopoly's base game while figuring out what to do with this than I did ever playing Monopoly. And here's one of the things that I came to the conclusion. Yes, I used a picture of a Italian edition of Monopoly. I don't remember why this was the only one I had laying around, but hey, it's what was laying around. Anyways, so the base game of Monopoly has 40 spaces on it. Yeah, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, each side of the board. Now, one could make the argument that in jail and just visiting technically count as separate spaces, but I don't care. For this purpose, I'm just going to treat them as a single space. And, I mean, by that logic, I'm going to leave this out of most of it because this is, this is where I decided to put the jail. Anyway, so 40 spaces, 22 of which are properties that are part of color groups, which 22 out of 40 is 55% of the board space. The reason I'm converting this to percentages is that it makes it easier to compare when you have disparate numbers. Okay. Railroads. There's 4 of them, 10%. 4 corners, 10%. 2 utilities, 5%. 6 chance / community chest things, which 15%. And 2 spaces other than any of the previously listed categories, which is 5%. Which, as a breakdown, having a little over half of all of the stuff on the board be properties and color groups, that is kind of interesting to me. And that's actually a key balance thing, because you want to have people, land on things they pay for more often than not. So, yeah. Like, you're here. You roll the 2d6. You can get anywhere from 2 to 12. So, you can land on community chest. You could land on the tax space. You could land on chance. You could land on just visiting. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things out of that are things that you would pay for. 7 out of 11. So there's only actually 4 that you wouldn't. Which is pretty typical for base game Monopoly. So, let's go back to here and figure out percentages for these. Now, for this, I have decided that I'm never going to have color groups as part of the spokes. And when I say spokes, I mean these things here. Yeah. Those are what I've decided to call spokes. And anything that connects one ring to another. The sub-rings aren't spokes, but the sub-rings, in this case, are connected to spokes. So, Now, another thing is I also decided that these spaces where a spoke or sub-ring is anchored to a main ring, those are also not going to be part of colored property groups, but that's where I'm going to put most of the railroads. Like, corner spaces aren't going to be railroads, but these things here, yeah, that's a good place to put a railroad. Well, these are good. This is good. This is not. This is not. I'm not going to put a railroad in a subring. Anyways, moving on. So, mathing that. Okay, well. So, my current plan for the center here is you have 4 corner spaces, which are, whatever you want to have for corner spaces. Thing is, another quirk I decided to go with for this that makes it different from real Monopoly is that The two square rings, as opposed to two diamond rings, I'm actually going to have the go/start space here on the left side. Why? Because of the way that the prison is oriented. That's why. It's like this is going to be where you have go. You go around here. Because also it's like I don't want to have you start in the outer ring because that's where the expensive properties are. I don't want you to start in a center ring because that's where all the cheap junk properties are. And this, well, that's like moderate stuff. Anyway, though. So, this is where players are going to start at the beginning of the game. And I decided I wanted to have all of the start spaces in the same alignment. So, while these are not corner spaces, they are start spaces. Or equivalents of go in that ring. So for ring 1, which is the center one, and ring 4, which is the outermost one, those will have 4 corner spaces that are not go spaces, where you get, salary when you go past them. Break from traditional Monopoly, to be sure, but whatever, it amuses me. Thing is, the problem with this is that also means that I have one less railroad in the outer ring, but whatever. Asymmetries can exist, I suppose. Actually, you know what? I really don't like that. Now that I think about it again. That's something to think about more later. Yeah. That is something I hadn't pondered before. I said, I do want these spots to be railroads. Anyway, though. So anyway, yeah, you know what? I think I'll just put go in like either the top left corner or the top bottom left corner, one of the two. It doesn't really make that. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I might do this one too. Yeah, have these be go and these be go. Whatever. Anyway. Back to number crunching the percentages. Ring 1 has 4 property groups with 2 spaces in each. This means that Ring 1 has 50% of the spaces in it as colored property groups. Okay, so let's look at Ring 2. Ring 2. 8 3 property groups. It's like you see here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But these are not going to be properties, so there's like 4 things in each section here that could be properties. So having 3 each be properties works. Now, let's math that though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is half of each side is properties. However, as a minor footnote, the subrings, which are these parts here, the subrings are going to have 3 property groups in them as well. So 2 of these will be something else. Like the things that are referred to as orange spaces, which are where you draw the cards related to the stock market. The orange spaces will be one each in each of the 8 subrings, including the outer ones as well as the inner subrings. So there will be one other kind of special space in each of these. Haven't decided what those are going to be yet. Anyway, so that actually changes the math here. Okay. Not by much, but it does mean that we end up with slightly more than 50%. You know, do a calculator. Okay, oh, 9, right, okay. Okay, so about 53%. You know what? The target was 55. That's actually about right. Ring 3 does not have a subring. So, that'll make the math on this relatively easy. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. 14 per side. I am currently planning to have groups of 4. So there will be... Yeah. Sorry. 8 out of those 14 will be properties. So that's about 57%. So in both of these, if I was to tweak the number of special spaces, I could get it closer to 55%. I don't feel like doing that. I'm just mentioning that it's a possibility. It's because, like, one thing to remember is that in the original Monopoly, if it was perfectly regular with 8 color groups of 3 in each, then the properties would be 60%, which is actually a lot closer to this. All right, now for the real question. Ring 4. Okay, Ring 4 does have subrings, but let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Each side of this is 24 spaces. Yeah, that's a lot. For context, the outer ring that has Ring 4 has over twice as many spaces in it as the base game of Monopoly alone. Yeah, the amount of territory in this game is insane. Which is why I thought the idea was so much fun. Anyway, though. So, what is the plan there? Okay, so each of these subrings is currently planned to have 4 spaces that are color group properties. So you have this here, which is, of course, where the spoke attaches and thus not going to be a color group. One of these is going to be a stock market space. So some other kind of special space will be one of these. So that is all 7 of them in this. So this is 4. Oh, also it's like, while this is 24, I need to add 7 to that in order to make the total number of spaces on the side. Okay, anyway. So 31 total. So out of the also is that I'm planning to have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is part of the reason why I'm doing this math is that at one point I was planning to have color groups of 6 spaces each here, but that was before I decided to have corner color groups. Anyway, so let's do the math both ways. Like 12 plus 4, that's 16. 16 out of 31. Eh, a little less than 52%. Pretty close, honestly, to my goal. Like having two groups of 6 scattered like this, and a group of 4 here. Out of this thing would be actually about right. However, let's look at it with adding this here. So put, like, say 4 here. How would that change it? Well, honestly, that would just up it to 20. That gives me about 60, well, about 64.5% of ring 4 as property, as color group properties, which that's too high. Yeah, let's just be honest. That's too high. No, can't do that. Okay, so I said I like the way the balance in the subring system. Let's just look at the outer side here. Again, this is 24. The original plan with two groups of 6 would put it as exactly 50%. Yeah. 5, 5, 4. That would be 14. Yeah, if I have 14 out of 24, that's a little over 58. And, slightly higher than I want, but, should be good. So, this 14 breakdown, though, is like, if these were only 5 each, and these are 4. Yeah, if I cut these down to 5 each, yeah, that'll work. Okay. So 5, 5, 4, and 4. Okay. Again, part of the logic here is that you need to figure out what we want to have as the balance before we do something like, actually attempting to write names and labels on all of this stuff. Okay, so let's recrunch the math. Let's see here. 4, 5, 5. That's 14 plus 4, 18 out of 31. Okay, that's 58%. Good enough. Okay, so I need to label all of these things according to where they are. Oh, yellow here, that's actually like all of them, which are split between. Yeah, that's the yellow spaces will give you cards related to movement, but those are split between rings 2, 3, and 4. Green spaces are only in ring 3. Because I decided I wanted to go with the idea of having multiple versions of chance slash community chest. Because let's face it, in regular Monopoly, the difference between chance and community chest does exist. However, it's unimportant. It's a card. It does random stuff when you draw it. They, they have so much overlap in the modern versions that it doesn't really matter. Okay, anyway. Yeah, the arrows list, that's oh yeah, there's a special arrow. Yeah, white spaces. Okay, white spaces that are outside spokes are and white spaces that are inside spokes. Honestly, I haven't decided exactly what I want to do with what all of the white spaces are yet. I've been collecting a list of special spaces, but I haven't really decided what all of them should be. I also haven't decided on how many utilities to have. And counting utilities means counting the total number of uh, ring spaces. Because utilities needs to be a percentage of total. All right, so as observed here, utilities make up a total of 5% of the board. So 1 out of 20 spaces. Okay. How many spaces do I have total? Okay, so the inner ring, each side has a length of 4. Okay. Second ring has 12. Third ring has 14. And the outer ring has 24. 4 plus 12 plus. So that's 54 side whatever. Okay. And this is leaving out the sub rings, which for the purpose of utilities, I think I will leave those out. I'm not 100% sold on that, but for the moment, I'm going to evaluate it, leaving those out. So, there's a total of 54 per side. So this side here, here, and here. That's a total of 54. Which means that for the purposes of deciding how many utilities I want to have, there are 216 because we need to multiply 54 by 4. So I would need to have 11 utilities. Yeah. Before times 4 equals 216. 216 divided by 20 equals more or less 11. Yeah. So I need 11 utilities. Okay. So I have not decided exactly what those are going to be yet. One of the things that I was analyzing earlier was actually just like going over previously existing versions of Monopoly to get ideas for what I should have for utilities. Okay, let's see if this gets pulled in. No, it did not. Okay, well, dang. So, like, base game, you have electric company, waterworks. Okay, cool. You have gas company, telephone company. Okay, those are pretty simple. You have cable, internet, trash collector, sewage. I know some people would lump sewage in with waterworks, but even where I currently live, those are actually billed separately. Granted, they're billed by the same people, but they are actually calculated separately. And thus, my bill, which also includes trash, each of those things is added in differently. Okay. Oh, you know what? I need to do is a notepad. Yeah, I didn't actually look to count the things, and some of these are. Okay, so how many did I actually collect? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I have 16 total. Okay, so let's look at this and decide which ones we actually want to use. This box is full. Duplicate side. All right, duplicated slide. Dum dum dum. Delete all this. So here is the list of options that I came up with. Is this the final list? No, of course not. This is just ideas. Now, electric company and waterworks. Those are ideas that pretty classic. Gas, again, classic, common one. Telephone company. Yeah, sure, why not? Cable, internet. In modern times, telephone, cable, and internet, you probably aren't going to have three separate distinct bills for those. but they're different services, and depending on location, they may or may not be billed to you by the same people. Which, again, in the context of Monopoly, having the three services owned and controlled and provided by the same people, that just means that the same player owns all three of them. Trash collector, like I mentioned before, our local one is bundled with water and sewage. But the actual services are technically different things. They're bundled together, but they're technically different things. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 so far. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so kind of want to add 3 more in there. To be honest, Panama Canal and Suez Canal. Those came from Islandopoly, which is a weird variant, which is a global thing. It's not like city or country level even. It's actually like global level. And it has to do with like international shipping over the ocean, which is why it has Panama Canal and Suez Canal. Yeah, I'm going to dump those because no. One pillar pagoda. I don't even know what that is. No, seriously. Okay. 2 of the things that I also used as sources of inspiration are Hanoiopoly and Saigonopoly, which were made by the same people who made Islandopoly. It's some company headquartered in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, who, well, they do whatever their Vietnamese brains think is a good idea. Do I personally agree with all of their choices? Who cares? Do I feel like copying them? Well, that's the part that's actually important here. So yeah, I decided I want the 8 that are above this. So I currently have 6 here. Which of these 6 would I want? 1 pillar pagoda. I'm genuinely not sure what that even is. I don't know. So, do I want to actually use it in the game if I don't know what it is? Of course not. Toll bridge. Okay. I'm trying to remember if this is Saigonopoly or the other one. One of them... Okay, so it's like 2 of them are Vietnamese cities, okay? One of them, the city has as a major geographical feature the fact that part of the city is on one side of a river, part of the city is on the other side of the river. The reason you have toll bridges as a utility for this particular map is because that's how you cross the river. It's one of the ways you cross the river anyways. Other methods also exist. And in that game, the railroads are actually just the names of different taxi or companies, some of which are ferries going across the river. Anyway, so for this one, does toll bridge actually make sense? Well, I'll keep it for now. Yeah, also car company, I'm not sure if that really counts as a utility, but, you know. Vehicle maintenance as a service is absolutely a thing, though. Not necessarily what I would consider a utility, but it is a service that everyone uses. You know what? I'll rephrase this one as car repair. Now, petroleum, no, no, no. Mm-mm. Because, like, petroleum is what you would have, like, if it's like you are the person who runs the gas station. Potentially viable option, though. Turtle Lake. I think that's more of a landmark than anything. Oh, wait, I actually remember what this one is. Turtle Lake is something that is something so specific to the individual city where it exists that they actually included in the game's documentation an explanation for what Turtle Lake is. Short version, there's a major traffic roundabout thing where that had a turtle statue to decorate it. And it also has a, pond or something in the middle of the roundabout, which is why it's called Turtle Lake. Lake is probably not an accurate translation, but whatever. It was an artificial pond that used to have a statue of a turtle in the middle of it. Why does that count as a utility? I have no idea. So I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, so we are now down to 12. Need to X out one of these. Honestly, I think I'll X out the toll bridge one. Actually, toll bridge would work. Yes, because like these are all things that could. Okay, some of these. I'm going to just get rid of sewage. I can't think of any place that doesn't have water and sewage bundled together. Toll roads are actually something that, okay, not all areas have them, but some of them do. It is actually a relatively common way to subsidize road repair costs. Have people pay a small fee to use the road. But again, it's a private road, not a public road, technically. Postal office. Yeah, the actual like regular like United States post office would not fit here. But a private postal service like FedEx, yeah, that would fit here. And petroleum, well, I might reword these later. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that would be my list of 11 utilities. All right, save that. Have I decided where I'm going to put any of these? No. Oi. That's actually an interesting point, though, is that having 11 utilities, I'm not actually certain what would be a good way of doing that. Oh, you know what? 3 each on rings 2 and 3. And put the rest of them in ring 4, maybe. Or do it like 2, 3, then 6. I don't really want to put 6 in the outer ring, but there's just so much territory there that I might as well. Oh, actually, you know what? That's another thing. How many per ring? That's a good point that I hadn't thought of before. Because, as we already established, Yeah, Ring 2 has a total of 48 spaces on it, and thus that gives us 2.4. So we could put 2 or 3 there, either one. Ring 3. $2.8. Okay, that one, yeah, definitely put 3 there. Ring 4. $4.8. You know what? You putting 5 in ring 4 seems warranted. Which means that for purposes of rounding, huh, you know, it just occurs to me that when I was deciding how many utilities to put in, I included the subrings as part of the property count. And that's skewing all of this stuff. You know what? I don't hate it. Yeah, I'll just keep it that way. But yeah, it's like put 5 of them in ring 4, 3 of them in ring 3, and 3 of them in ring 2, I guess. Because I kind of sort of need to do something to balance it, and yeah. Calculating 11 utilities, though. How many would you actually get if you had all 11 utilities? Oh, God. Oh, huh. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go look that up now. Ultimate Monopoly title deeds. So, let's see here. How many things does Ultimate Monopoly even have for that? Ultimate Monopoly, surprisingly enough, only actually has 4 railroads. Due to the way it's constructed, the only 4 railroads are part of the middle ring, because it only has 3 rings. They're part of the middle ring and either extend upwards into the inner ring or extend downwards into the outer ring. No railroads are actually separate from the middle ring in Ultimate Monopoly. Oh, it actually does have title deeds for the cab companies. Interesting. The cab companies seem to work more or less as like a separate set of railroads. Except that there's a special function with them. Is that when you pay to use a cab company, you actually get relocated to a different space. Okay, so Ultimate Monopoly's scheme for utilities was a bit insane. I don't feel like using that one. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really not sure what I want to do with that. Yeah, because what Ultimate Monopoly has is it starts off with the way it goes in regular Monopoly. If you only own one utility, Roll 2d6, 4 times the amount rolled. Okay, sure. With 2 utilities, 10 times. Then it gets kind of ridiculous from there. Sort of. Yeah, because it goes 4, 10, 20, 40, 80. And you're like, oh my, how insane is this going to get? Not very. 100, 120, 150. Which, realistically, getting all 8 utilities, extremely unlikely. And also, utilities are trivial expenses in regular Monopoly. In late game, anyways. It was like 10 times 12. Yeah. Roll 2d6. You roll it 12. That's 120. That's what it caps out at in the regular Monopoly. So having it go up to 150 times the amount shown on the dice, that's 1,800. That's significant. It's actually not catastrophic, though. Because, like, let's look at the cheapest, most inexpensive property on the entire board. The cheapest on the entire board, 750 with skyscraper. Now, if you're looking at it without skyscrapers, 250. So 1,800 versus 250, which is, you know, the cheapest property on the board. You know, 1,800 looks actually kind of good. But let's look at something less inexpensive. Yes, like matching 1,800 is not that hard. Although, you know, you need to get up to... You need to get to like the high-end stuff in Basic Monopoly to rival that. However, you know, we're looking at something that has several other options. But still, 1,800, that's a lot of change. You're probably not going to get that, though. That's the thing with this. Is that 12 is the highest you can get. There's only a 1 in 36 chance of rolling that high. Average roll is 7. Which is a little over 1,000, like 1,050. Which, yeah, 1,050 is actually a mid-range property. I was like, let's look at, see, which one is like 1,050? Ah, yes, Kentucky and Indiana. Which, you know, that would be this part of the board. This is where you would have all 8 for a times 150 modifier to the die roll. Yeah, that's not actually all that great. And that requires you to have all 8 of them. Good luck with that. Even Ultimate Monopoly doesn't have cards to steal properties from other players outright. Actually, I'm going to need to double check that. Anyway, though. But you would basically need something to steal them outright. Because, like, making regular deals to literally get all 8... No, probably not going to happen. And even then, it's actually not insane. Because, like, Ultimate Monopoly goes with the whole, like, skyscraper thing, which is where you basically have 2 hotels, which drastically increases the price, sure. The way they calculated it boggles the mind, because it's even less linear than the regular stuff. I think they literally... actually, I don't even know. I'm not even going to try to guess. Some of them just like random arbitrary numbers. Like, okay, so I was just looking at it, it's like the red groups to the boardwalk. Um, hotel versus skyscraper just adds 1,000. Why is it exactly 1,000 on all 11 properties? I have no idea. Logic error. The orange group though is only plus 500. And if we go all the way back to Mediterranean and Baltic, the plus 500 actually holds true. Um, kind of strange to have it be that insanely consistent. Does not compute, as the saying goes. Anyways, though, I'm not going to actually bother with that. But anyway, yeah. Also, the thing with skyscrapers is that skyscrapers is basically just like a sixth development level. The thing with skyscrapers, though, is that you're basically just to upgrade to a skyscraper, you have to build a second hotel. However, building a hotel requires you to spend the cost of 4 houses in addition to the hotel itself. So if building a house on that property is $50, upgrading from a hotel to a skyscraper, actually, you know what? I'm not sure. Looking at it again, the way it's worded, I think you're actually just paying 50 again, so that it's actually only 600 total. For a moment there, I was thinking that there would be an additional 200 for placing the skyscraper, but it doesn't look like it. Anyways, moving on from that. Okay, so 335. That works, I guess. Have I decided which spaces those are going to be yet? No, not even close. Anyways, oh yeah, that's right. What names am I going to use for the Go spaces? Yeah, it occurred to me I haven't actually figured those out yet. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm actually going to use any of the names from Islandopoly. It's not that I don't like them, it's just that they don't fit with any of the other stuff. Now, the Vietnamese ones from Hanoiopoly and Saigonopoly, those are less of an issue. It's just place names written in Vietnamese. Just like a whole lot of Vietnamese text. Just like so much Vietnamese text. I need to double check what those actually are, though. Oh, yeah, that's right. I can't. Yeah. Mastermind actually were like kind of smart with the whole thing and didn't actually upload a printable resolution version of a picture of their game board. It's something that is good enough that you can read most of it. Keyword most. Kem Trang Tien. I don't know what that means. Anyway. But yeah, it's like all of the place names on that are in Vietnamese. I kind of like the idea of doing that, but I might not want actually even use those. Yeah, the idea I had with it was actually just like make a wedge of the board, and like give a wedge of the board Vietnamese names, like this property group here, this group here, maybe these two groups here, these two groups here, uh, this group, and then these two groups. Yeah, just like make all of those have Vietnamese names. Why? Because reasons. Thing is, I don't actually have this set up to have a large number of foreign names. Having 1/4 of the board use Vietnamese names, and I actually don't have enough Vietnamese names for that. Now that I think about it again, either because like this is like 10 here. This is like another 20 or so. Um. Oh yeah, Saigonopoly and Hanoiopoly. Each of them has 22. So that's a total of 44 names, I guess. Which, let's see here. 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4, that's 13. Plus 10, that's 23. Plus another 4, that's 27. Plus 10, that's 37. Plus 4, that's 41. Okay, so it's just barely enough. I actually need to drop 3. Workable, I guess. I probably won't do that. I'm gonna scrubbing the list of names for the other stuff, though, is going to be a major pain in the ass. Although, now that I think about it, I did actually go and collect a set of names that are explicitly British. So there's that too. Oh yeah, let's see here. 164 minus 122. Oh, so I have about 42 of those. Hmm. Okay. Again, I mathed it saying that I need a total of 41 for 1/4 of the board. I'm not actually sure that's true. Yeah. Well, okay, that's right. I refigured. I recalculated what I'm going to have after I came up with the 160 total. Anyway, yeah, because the 160 total was assuming I would have property groups with 6 in them for the outer ring, which I just changed my mind on. Okay, so yeah, so I guess my total is actually 164 now. Huh. Okay. Anyway, though, each 1/4 of the board is 41. And I have 42 British names. Yeah, Londonopoly, the Mega Edition of Londonopoly, and some weird variant of it that was half finished, incomplete. Only thing I can think of to say about it is bastardization of Londonopoly. Oh, well, I suppose I should show people. Okay, just open paint. Okay, I saved this. Just double check, make sure. Open. this weird nonsense. Yeah. This takes the Londonopoly board as the outer ring and adds a second ring to it for the middle. Part of the reason why I say this is an incomplete, bastardized thing is that, one, the visual design language is makes my brain angry at whoever drew this, because of the fact that being able to discern where each space ends and the next space begins as a gameplay mechanic is actually incredibly hard, with the way they make each space have these weird jigsaw patterns inside the space. This board layout is way over cluttered to hell. Yeah. Anyway, though, this is actually where I got a lot of those names, though, because, yeah, these do not share the same names as the Mega Edition of Londonopoly does. Quite frankly, I have no idea where these names came from, or why the person that made this abomination felt like using Londonopoly as a basis. Because, like, this is Eco-Monopoly, okay? Which, as I mentioned earlier, is not actually a finished fan game. No, it's not finished. They didn't bother going to that much time and effort. They came up with an idea of having... Now, there is actually an interesting idea thrown in here. Places where when you stop on those places, you can pay a fee to get a voucher to get... So that when you land on another place where you would have to pay rent, the voucher lets you actually only pay half the rent. The voucher is, of course, consumed in the process and ceases to exist. Well, okay, it gets returned to the voucher pool. So I guess there's only a limited number of these vouchers. And you have to land on a certain space. That's what these things that say zoo, free, are actually for. It's not actually a place where you just land on there for free. You get one of those vouchers when you land on this space. Yeah, so it's like that's actually the only thing about this that is properly innovative in terms of design. I actually have no idea how you're supposed to play this, because it's, like I said, it's an unfinished concept, because whoever was making this just didn't give a... It's like, you look at this, you're like, oh, so what are the values from the property groups? 100, 150... 150, 100, 100, 100. Yeah, all of the properties except railroads, which for some strange reason are 300, which is more than in standard Monopoly. Yeah, utilities are still the same 150. Wait, this one is 200. Okay, so the railroads actually have inconsistent costs too. Yeah, that's 140. This one's... I don't know what kind of insanity infested the people who made this. But the reason why I decided to look at this is that the board layout actually has certain similarities to what I am working on. Like, it has a 2-ring structure, where the rings have connection points that are railroads, which is very similar to the idea I'm working with. Thing is, though, most of this is actually just decorative junk. The voucher idea is actually the main thing I got from this that I thought was interesting. Because the majority of this is just like standard Monopoly. except with the whole like ring structure. It's like I don't seriously. Do I actually have? Let's see here. London eco description.txt. Yeah, the description that I was able to find for it is mostly just fluff talking about why they decided to make an eco-themed Monopoly. Oh, I need to turn on order up. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Build structures in harmony with nature. Notice how this one kind of, sort of has color groups. Kind of, sort of. But not really. Yeah, that's one of the design features that I found head scratching with this. Because like there's the green quadrant of the board, the blue quadrant of the board, and a yellow quadrant of the board, and an orange/red quadrant of the board. One could interpret these as being like 12 different color groups, but they're not really separate colors. Like, okay, this one here does not have any purple in it. This one here has a lot of purple in it. This one is dark blue, but not purple. And this is lighter, so I guess this is the light blue one. This is the dark blue one. And this is the purple one, I guess. Yeah. And this is kind of like that. Like light green, medium green, dark green. I think that's their intent for color groups, but from a visual perspective, it's kind of hit or miss at best. Anyways, moving on from that. Okay. Park, zoo, beach, botanical garden, and farmers market, which are free for players to stay. When a player lands on a public area, the player may buy trees from the bank and plant in the area and keep the receipt. This receipt you get from buying trees is what lets you get half rent. Yeah, 50% discount on rent when they land on other players' property, which corresponds to the same color series as... Oh, yeah, that's right. Each of the... that's the whole like logic behind why the board has yellow quadrant, green quadrant, blue quadrant, and red quadrant, is that the vouchers for reduced rent are actually not universally usable. Maybe, possibly. Because, like, white vouchers exist. White vouchers can be used anywhere. However, only white vouchers can be used anywhere. Each of the others is limited to a certain quadrant of the board. That is actually one thing about this that's interesting, is that each of the train stations is seemingly directly tied to a specific quadrant? Question mark? That's another thing about this that's super, super erratic and fickle and confusing. It's like here, this one is like part green, part blue. Okay. This one here is all blue/purple. There's no red or pink on it. Here, this one kind of sort of looks like a mixture. Because like this inner part here is yellow and this outer part here is kind of like an orangey pink. But it's a similar orangey pink to this orangey pink over here. However, that's a chance space. So, you know, maybe that's just like a special thing for the chance space. Because like these spaces don't look like that. So I guess one could say that this is one and this is the other. This one, this just looks green. Yeah. None of this is yellow colored. None of it. Anyways. I'm looking at that for now. Dum, dum, dum. But yeah, it's like the voucher idea, neat concept. How am I going to incorporate that? No idea. I'll probably just have some weird special space. Um, Actually, I might not even bother with it because like the voucher concept requires you to have another deck of cards. I might just add the vouchers as part of like the chance and community chest thing because my current plan is basically to have like three different versions of chance and community chest, which only apply to rings 2, 3, and 4, but you have three different decks because of the fact that each of them has different stuff in it. Like if you draw a chance and community chest card in ring 2, it's not going to tell you move to a property in ring 4. It might tell you to move to a different ring, but it's not going to give you a specific property for the most part. But again, this would be a good place to put in the vouchers because the fact that you can then have the voucher be something that is tied to that ring. It's like this voucher is good for half off your next time staying at a property in ring 2. Anyways, moving on. What I was doing, close that. Oh yeah, that's right. I decided to look at. I still haven't figured out how you're supposed to change rings on that. Also, it alludes to the idea that you when you are improving properties in Eco Monopoly, you choose what kind of building you're going to build on the property. Catch is they don't actually explain what any of those are. Because, again, it's an unfinished concept. Anyway, file open. Board 1. Anyway. Okay, so that would actually need to be red. I'm not actually going to put in like solid black, like gray. Yeah, light gray's dark enough. Red text. For this one, there is no just visiting. Yep, I'm up to the 8th iteration of the game board. Yee. Dun dun dun. Anyway, need to figure out what I'm going to call the 4th thing because like. Oh yeah, this one just calls it Go. Yeah, this is part of the reason why I found multiple different variants. It's just like different ideas for names. It's like, what are the long list of things that people have called things? Anyways, hmm. Oh yeah, another really really weird one, Monopoly Space, where it's explicitly limited to having uh, 4 players because the in-game condition is to actually build a lunar colony, and that your exploitation of everything else in the game is simply a means of acquiring resources to build your lunar colony. And it doesn't actually matter how many property you have, because they're just, like mining opportunities or something. Like I said, I found a whole bunch of weird ideas. Some of which I don't really have any interest in. Like that kind of an in-game condition is just... Now, one could... Like, oh yeah, that's another way. It's like Monopoly Millionaire. Monopoly Millionaire, the idea is whoever has a certain net worth, the first person to get high enough to a certain net worth automatically wins the game as soon as they reach that amount of net worth. Which, honestly, I don't hate that. The trick is figuring out how to calculate it, but whatever. What does Gigaopoly call it? Oh, yes. Gigaopoly just calls it Go. This is actually an interesting thing, is because, like, the one thing that the Mastermind guys did with theirs is that they don't do cardboard boards for the games that they make. They just don't. They either do, like, painted wood or roll up mats. Now, why exactly this is, good question, I don't know, but that's just the way they do it. Interesting idea. I have questions, because if it has something to do with the intense humidity in Vietnam, because way I heard it, the entire country is humid 24/7 all year long, and that there is no part of the entire country that's even close to being arid or dry or anything like that. Well, anyways. Yeah, it's like classic Monopoly has Go, and the only variants I can think of that use something that's actually like completely different are things that are explicitly meant to have more than one. Oh yeah, let's look at the old Landlord game. I have a copy of that. Oh yeah, the Landlord game actually had a Go space too. Oh, that's interesting. The Landlord game's jail space is also one of those things that's just kind of like off to the side somewhere. It's not actually part of the main track. Huh. Oh, well. It had a less simple game board than is traditional for Monopoly. Anyway. Oh, you know what? That's something I could use as inspiration. Megaopoly. Okay, so Ultimate Monopoly has a bonus space, which is Either 250 if you pass it, or 300 if you land on it. Cool, I guess. There's the regular go space, which just gives you 200 no matter what. And then there's payday, which when you pass, if you had odd, you get 300, or if you have even as your roll, you get 400. So, regular go, bonus, and payday. So what does Megaopoly have? Because that's the thing, is that a lot of these things kind of sort of borrow ideas from each other. Megaopoly just has payday spaces. Oh, okay. Yeah, one of the things with Megaopoly is that it's excessively formulaic. Now, I don't think it's bad. But it's not particularly innovative either. Because it's like the middle ring in that is regular Monopoly. Each time you get to go and you pass go, that causes you to change which level of the board you're on. So inner ring, middle ring, outer ring, so on. Just as part of going around the board. There's also warp zones you can land on, which also let you change which ring you're on and stuff like that. But the main way is just to go past go. Thing is, on that, which is actually a feature I like, and I'm planning to copy, is that the amount of salary you get as you go past go changes depending on which ring you're in. So, center ring, only 100. Middle ring, 200, which is, standard. And then you have the outer ring, which is 300. Yeah, because one of the things I mentioned is makes part of the reason why I feel that Megaopoly is overly formulaic is that all three boards are set up the same way on prices. It's just that the inner ring has halved prices compared to the middle ring, which is the original Monopoly one. Middle ring is the original Monopoly. Outer ring has doubled prices. That's it. That's as far as it goes. Not very interesting. Now, again, in terms of being a way to expand Monopoly, it's actually a good one. I'm not going to say it's a bad way of having an expanded Monopoly game. No, it is definitely not bad. It is, however, moderately uncreative. Yeah, let's call it that. Moderately uncreative. Oh, well. Why am I streaming anyways? Oh, hour and a half. Anyway, back to drawing. So, how am I going to decorate these properties? Actually, it just occurred to me that me making the board this scale is actually like half the size I really need. Yeah, these spaces. I just realized that. I don't know that I would be able to... Okay, you know what? Let's see. What is the smallest font that is practical? This is obviously not actually a particularly small font. Okay, so I'm going to write in here because these are special spaces where I decided that I wanted to have one of these be a space where you lose a turn and gain $500, and the other one is going to be a space where you roll again but lose $500, or maybe 250. You know what? I'll go with 250. So this is a 36-point font. Let's try 8. I need to use an 8-point font, which I can do. Roll 1d6. Oops, messed that up. You know what? On second thought, I should rearrange the way this is worded. Ah! I don't know what the is up with that. I think it's a bug, but I'm genuinely not even sure why it does that. Whole freaking thing just jumps sideways. Actually, Control X. Okay, roll 1d6, move again. Yeah, okay, that actually works. Yeah, okay, 8-point font. I guess I can use an 8-point font. All right, so and I'm tired. All right, well, I spent most of this doing math and calculating how many of this, that, and the other I need. That was a lot of time pondering all of that. I didn't realize how long that took. Wow. I'm going to have to call it here, and yeah, it's time to go to sleep. Ugh. Oh well. Alrighty, well,